This is another of my favourite cows. This is Flash. I reared her from when she was young, so she's very friendly. She does get a bit boisterous at times, particularly because she likes to eat apples and pears, which I spoil her with when they're in season. Anyway, yesterday I spoke to Matthew Wright on LBC about the rise of the American-style megafarms in Britain. And it's important to realise that this rise has happened because of Brexit. Brexit ensured new agriculture policy, which isn't really agricultural policy. It's turned farmers largely into park keepers, and food is no longer a public good, the environment is. And then the side product of this is that because of deregulation, more megafarms are opening. And, you know, this was inevitable because they're having to compete with the cheaper imports that are coming in. So, you know, you might put some of your fields into an environmental scheme and then have an intensive farm with livestock in it. Anyway, have a listen and let me know what you think.
I want to return to this story in the Eye about the proliferation of mega chicken farms and the resultant ammonia pollution. So we've seen a plethora of these American-style massive chicken farms come up around the River Wye, the Wye Valley in Wales. Also, where there's a 40% increase in ammonia, a 20% increase in ammonia in Norfolk, an 11% increase in neighbouring Lincolnshire. What's going on? Well, Liz Webster is a beef and arable farmer and founder of Save British Farming. Recently organised those protests in central London and joins me now. Morning, Liz.
Good morning, Matthew.
So, what is the problem? Is it the scale of these chicken factories that's the issue?
Yes, you know, most certainly. I mean, what's going on, really, as far as I can see, is, you know, Brexit promised cheaper food. And as we know, food has gone through the roof. But there's always this drive for cheaper food in the supermarkets, and there's no control over that. We used to have a thing called the Resale Price Maintenance Act, which was repealed in 1964 by the Tories. I'll just get that in there. It meant that, you know, middle people and shops couldn't pay beneath the price of production. And what we've got is a never-ending sort of drive for cheaper food. But it's absolutely bonkers, and farmers really are, you know, beyond going crazy about it, because we value the way that we farm here, and, you know, we have high standards, and that we're being blamed for the pollution when we farm well and sustainably. And this stuff is coming in through the back door. The Agriculture Act, I mean, it should be called the Environment Act. But, you know, when you've got an act which is moving sustainable farming in to become park keepers, and then that is enabling intensive farming, which is actually ravaging the environment and polluting our already polluted rivers from sewage, it actually defies belief. And I think it's ensuring that faith is going in politics as well, because who can you trust? And it is about a drive for big business, you know, big American companies, Cargill, who don't give a damn about how animals are treated, and also, you know, the human health consequences of eating this mass-produced
and the ammonia, the health impacts from the ammonia gas on breathing.
The ammonia and the overuse of antibiotics, which is a risk to us all because of...
Is there a way, I suppose this is the critical question in my mind about these sort of mega chicken production farms, factories. Is there a way of actually doing this that is less environmentally? I mean, leaving aside the welfare issue of the chickens for another day, but there's a whole conversation to be had about that. But just in terms of the pollution, is there a way of running these farms well?
Well, you know, if you're farming animals intensively in super numbers, then you know you've got a concentration of damaging products. So this is why, really, when they decided to turn us into park keepers to save the world from climate change, it was always a false premise, because actually the way we farmed in Britain, is the most sustainable, or one of the most sustainable ways of farming. We have small fields with hedges. It's a very traditional way of farming, and it's that which us farmers are upset about, because this is our culture.
I was going to say,
the way the country looks. Do you want to have factories everywhere?
To be fair, I mean, I get your point about that farmers feel that they're sort of being forced down the planet-saving route. I think the idea was to ensure that farmers could improve the environment, but the legislation does favour, as you alluded to, super farms, big farms. The smaller individual farmer doesn't get the benefit and has an awful lot more hoops to jump through in order to get any sort of taxpayer subsidy. So
I think you call it greenwashing.
Yes. But it seems to have allowed these mega farms to get a foothold. And I, as someone who does a lot of water campaigning, I'm just left wondering, because there seems to be so many more in the pipeline to come, whether or not this style of poultry farming can be done in a way that doesn't have massive health implications for humans. And as I said, we'll have to deal with the chicken welfare on another day. Would you say that people who complain about the poor quality of our water should think twice before having a $2.99 chicken, whether it be a chicken bird they buy raw or whether they buy it through Nando's M&S in cooked form? Do we need to start joining the dots?
Yeah, I mean, totally. We always needed to pay more for food, but food has been getting cheaper in terms of a share of the percentage of your income. But there's no mechanism at the moment in legislation. That's what it's pointless us going up to supermarkets. And I liken it to being in Longleat. At the moment, Britain is Longleat, and the runners, the managers of Longleat are letting the lions just kill everything. The lions are the supermarkets, and we need some structure, some framework in there, which means that the system is fairer, and it's also putting people and the environment, because we need food and we need the environment, and that's absolutely what needs to happen. But there is no way of doing mass mega farms, and you only need to look to America and Brazil and countries that do these super farms. There is no way of having super farms and having a good environment.
That's kind of where I thought this conversation was going. Liz Webster, thanks for giving up your time this Saturday morning. A pleasure talking to Liz. Well worth following online.
Here I am with Daisy, my favourite cow, head cow. Yes. So just as it all dried up, or was drying up, and the river had gone back within its banks, we have an inch of rain overnight, and the river's back over again, and this is going to put us back by weeks again.